Today, earlier, Team USA, you mentioned Canada, meaning the Canadian men's basketball team, that Team USA beat by, I think it was 14 points last week in their opening exhibition game. Today, they played Australia, and a good test because Australia medaled in last year's Olympics, or last time they had the Olympics 4 years ago. And it was a good test. We were up by 24, Team USA, but Australia rallied and pulled within 4 at the end. Team USA ends up winning 86-82. A lot of takeaways from this. What was your biggest takeaway from this game?
My biggest takeaway is that I was right, but we'll talk about that coming up.
And I'm sorry, and that final score, that final score was it 80? Let's see, 98-92. I'm sorry,
98-92. I'd say my biggest takeaway.
You were right. So what were you right about?
It's actually our second topic, and I don't want to go ahead and jump the gun. But I was out there saying it on Friday, and Rob Parker was, "You're a prisoner at the moment. It's too soon." No, it's not.
We will get to that.
Yeah. Exactly. We'll get to that coming up next. The number one takeaway from this game, just from a basketball standpoint, 68 points in the paint is not going to be a winning recipe. Maybe it'll work here in this exhibition, but if you're going to give up nearly 70 points in the paint in a 40-minute basketball game, you are going to lose.
Well, and you gave up 68 points in the paint to a team that, as far as bigs, was led by Jock Landau. All right, this wasn't Shaq. This wasn't Patrick Ewing that you were facing. It was Jock freaking Landau. All right? And here's what I would say, because I'm glad you brought that up. With all due respect to the great Steve Kerr and Ty Lue, I mean, we got a great coaching staff, obviously. But when I watch these international games, Martin, and I'm thinking about last year in the FIBA World Cup as well, I got to be honest, man. It looks and feels like we get out-coached. I mean, it really does. Now, maybe that's because regular, everyday, nondescript role players like Dante Exum and Jock Landau, as I said, and Josh Giddey are easier to coach than superstars who are going to be in the Hall of Fame in a few years. But whatever the case, when I watch our offense, Mark, and tell me what you think. When I watch our offense, listen to what I'm saying. What I see is a bunch of dudes passing and moving the ball very quickly or driving and kicking. Couple dribbles, drive, draw a double team, kick out to the three, either take the three or couple dribbles, drive, draw defensive attention, kick it out to the three. Like, our whole offense seems to be just looking for open threes. And they're there. Sure. The open threes are there, and we're content just to sit there and shoot threes. Occasionally, via an Anthony Edwards, LeBron did it a few times, maybe a Jason Tatum. Occasionally, there's the drive. All the way to the hole or in for a short jumper or something. But our offense is basically drive it, draw the attention, kick out for an open three. When I watch Australia or Canada or even last year with Germany and the FIBA World Cup and all that, you know what I see? I see taking threes. I see driving to the basket. I see high pick and roll. I see backdoor cuts. I see post moves. Like, I see a full, complete game. And we used to, Martin, when we used to start getting challenged in the like around 2000 and the early aughts and all that, right?
Sure.
We were playing big boy basketball. We still have a lot of bigs on the team and play inside out. And the teams were challenging us from Europe because they were shooting threes, and we were kind of exchanging twos for threes. And obviously we've adapted to that and said, we recognize the value of the three as well, and we can shoot that too. But now it's like we've gone the opposite way. And now all we want to do is shoot threes. And now the European teams are saying, well, yeah, we still shoot the three, but we'll go inside too. We'll play a full complement of basketball. Whereas y'all, it's like Martin, we either gonna be big and play inside out, a la 20 years ago, or we're just gonna play small and everybody wants to shoot threes. And that's what I mean when I say it looks like we're getting out-coached. And it's bothersome. Why can't we play a full, well-rounded game of basketball?
I think it really comes down to, Chris, the players that are on the roster. Like, the home run derby is coming up, right? The Major League Baseball home run derby in the All-Star game. None of those guys are laying down bunts at any point in time in games, right? Because if you got enough power in your bat to be in the home run derby, your manager's going to want you to swing away. None of these guys who are on, like, this is
Embiid, Davis.
Both of those guys, I mean, Embiid's the second best player.
They could go inside.
No, they can definitely go inside. I'm not saying, well, Joel Embiid, we've been crying for him to go inside for years.
That's kind of my point. Is like, who in the NBA that's American is actually going inside at times? And that's my point, Mark. It's like, kids today, listen to me, dads out there, you got a young kid. Just because your son works on the three, is a guard, has handle, maybe that's what he's going to live and die by, the three, the mid-range jumper, doesn't mean you can't also develop some post moves. It's not like, oh, if I go start working in the post a little bit, I'm going to lose my shot. I'm going to lose my handle. I'm going to lose my jump shot.
Right.
No.
You should be able to play with your back to the basket.
Thank you. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead.
So for me, the thing is, though, when you talk about, especially not necessarily the inside game to me, but you look at the back cuts and the passing and the sharing of the ball.
Australia was doing?
Yeah, I think that comes from having a bunch of guys who were normally used to getting the ball passed to them and say, go to work, Devin Booker, go to work, Steph Curry, go to work, LeBron James, as opposed to, Josh Giddey. They were trying to bench him in the playoffs last year for Oklahoma City.
He looks like a freaking all-NBA guy today.
Right. But I think when you look at it, so is it about being out-coached, or is it just more about these guys are not used to playing in the way that they're asked to play now, where they may be a role player on this team? Who's supposed to be the role players when it's a team of all-stars like the Team USA is? So I think it's more of that as opposed to just these guys don't want to play that way or can't play that way, or Steve Kerr and Ty Lue and Mark Few and the other coach on the roster, Eric Spoelstra, are saying, don't do this. Right? They're saying, I don't think it's like they're like being petulant children.
No, but why not put in an offense that has some of that?
I think that how else do you get 18 turnovers in a 40-minute game? Like, I think they are trying to install an offense that involves some of that, right?
Involves what?
Some of the
backdoor cuts? I don't see much backdoor cutting.
No,
do you see any? I mean, honestly, do you see much other than couple dribbles, draw attention, kick out for a three? Either shoot it, couple dribbles, kick out for it. Like, do you see much more than that? I mean,
no, I don't. I don't see much more than that. That's about what it is. And so I'd like to see more of it, obviously, but they play a style in the Olympics that they're playing in the NBA right now. Like, you don't see that out of these guys. These guys aren't backdoor cutting in regular games. Or, like, when's the last time? Maybe Anthony Edwards on a backdoor lob if it was a set out of bounds, or, somebody like, the coach is calling.
Golden State would run it, during their heyday. They did a lot of that stuff. But
the conversation then was how the conversation then was how unique it was.
Right.
These guys aren't doing it in the NBA. So I guess it's a risk and reward because they're not doing it in the league. So how much do we want to try to input it now? They're used to drive and kick, shoot threes. So do we maximize the style that they've already been playing, or do we try to implement the style that, you see these teams like? But, I mean, Chris, just thinking about the NCAA tournament. Like Princeton.
Well, look at UConn, what they did. That's how they won, right? Their offense was constant movement.
I mean, it was that, but then – a lot of times you see like teams like Princeton running the Princeton offense, right? They would go up and knock off some of the big boys because they're just playing a better brand of basketball. But ultimately, they ain't winning national championships because the talent wins out. So I think ultimately that's the decision that Team USA made.
But these games, this was closer than it needed to be. Now, granted, again, we were up 24. But I just think, and look, I understand if you can beat your man off the dribble every time, then a lot of times you just go with that, right? And a lot of the ultra elite guys aren't moving without the basketball, running backdoor cuts and things like that because they don't need somebody to get them, run a play to get them a shot. They can get the shot on their own.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. A lot of even our elite NBA players don't know how to play that way. And look, again, with Jordan and the triangle, that's what Phil Jackson made it easier on him by getting some movement and things like that in the offense. And when you combine elite athleticism and ability with smart basketball, with ball and player movement, that's when you're unbeatable. And I think we're going to win. I said it after we beat Canada. We're going to win. But some of these games may be closer than they need to be, and you just see the flaws in our game right now. But we'll win just on talent.
And I also think, I just also think that they would have won this game by more than if they weren't playing literally all 12 men that are going to be on the team except for Derek White.
But the thing is this, and I thought you're right. Normally you would think, okay, we're up 24. We took our foot off the gas. We put in the second unit. But the second unit is like full of all NBA guys. The second unit is Devin Booker and Anthony Davis. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there should be no letdown. In fact, our second unit has to a large degree played better than our first unit. But there should be no letdown because we're so talented. And there was a letdown today.